Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with yet another video. Today, I don't know what I'm even gonna do today. Of course, I do have something planned, but I don't. This is not a Shining video, so if you're here, if you're here with the anticipation that I'm going to talk about The Shining in this video, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but today I'm trying to do something a little different. Yeah. So, so today, I don't know if this. So it's not a Shining video. It's not a film analysis video. It's not a rum break video. It's not an art crime video or an art history video or anything. I don't even know whether or not this is a coffee break, but you certainly are welcome to have a cup of coffee, un cafecito, while watching or listening to me talk about whatever it is that I'm going to talk about today. I want to do something a little different. Of course, I'm going to keep on keeping on doing my research and my analysis and my frame by frame, John Madden breakdown of The Shining and my understanding The Shining videos. And I'm going to keep going with Twin Peaks and David Lynch and hopefully get into Kill Bill again and Full Metal Jacket and some art stuff and what have you. But I just wanted to have a little fun today. Because I didn't have a chance to tell you the other day. Happy 4th of July. If you celebrate, I hope you had a lovely holiday a couple of days ago. But it's summer now. It's a little bit more relaxed. So, I thought I would do something fun today and introduce a new idea to you. Let me know how you feel about it. I want to do more like reviews of other shows and, more classic TV shows. I want to do maybe reviews or reactions or what have you, or just talk through. Like I say, I like to talk things through. Maybe episodes of The Twilight Zone or yeah. Maybe even like stuff like The Outer Limits or One Step Beyond or let's see, what's another one of my favorites? The one I'm going to talk about today, King of the Hill. So, if the thumbnail didn't tell you, I'm telling you now, it's a King of the Hill video. And I want to do this because I was reminded of my intense love for that show, watching somebody else's videos. The author of the videos that I was watching the other day is somebody who goes by the YouTube name of Shady Do Rags, and I'm gonna include a link to that person's channel, and I'm gonna add them in the description. If you're watching this, Mr. Durags, I love your videos. I think they're great. And you just reminded me how much I love King of the Hill. I'm gonna do my own little King of the Hill. I don't even know what to call this. Ramble, whatever. Coffee ramble. Or how like the guys, they're always in the alley having their beers. So so maybe something like that. But before I get into any of that, let me do my church announcements. As always, returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, all 594 of you, we are again on the march to 1,000, and hopefully I'll get there sooner rather than later. And I say on the march to 1,000 because I'm working on some Stanley stuff, some Kubrick stuff, an analysis that might even top, in my humble opinion, it might top the air vent analysis that I did. And my air vent analysis, that's just a beginning. That's not complete because I just noticed it not too long ago. I've got more work to do on that, and I'm hoping to inspire other people to do some work too. But never mind all that. Um, I've got a hold of some stuff that I've been reading through regarding our Stanley, Mr. Kubrick, and I have got a theory in the crock pot, simmering away, cooking, about Stanley and about why he was doing his movies the way he was doing his movies, from Clockwork Orange onward. Okay, it's gonna be a dilly if I do this right. If I have to think it through first, but stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. So anyway, yes, returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new subscribers. All 594 of you, thank you for subscribing so much. I appreciate you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you know somebody who might enjoy my nonsense. And if you want to, if you feel compelled to do so, go ahead and put $1 or $2 in my tip jar. Why don't you? Uh, I just got an email from YouTube today that said, "Oh, congratulations, you're eligible on your eligibility for super thanks." I'm like, wow, I feel so special. I it's an achievement, I guess. But this year has been crappy for me. In some ways, it's been real crappy. But let's hope for the best. So what else was I going to say? And that's why I said on the march to 1,000 subscribers, because that has to do with what I'm working on with regard to Stanley and my little theory that I got cooking. So there's that. Okay. And me and Tancred had an amazing powwow in the DM on Twitter about Stanley stuff and the stuff that he might have been inspired by and whatever. Oh, it was so much fun. So much fun. So shout out to Tancred of Tales. Go watch all of his videos. They're amazing. And he's a really innovative thinker with regard to this stuff. He really has a very good grasp on, all the different directions that this kind of stuff can go in, because it's like the Stanley Kubrick movies are an invitation to think creatively. And Tancred is definitely doing a great job. He's got his own stuff in the works. I've got my own stuff in the works. So there's that. I've been talking for 8 minutes and I ain't even started what this video is about. I said I'm going to talk about King of the Hill. I love that show. And if you guys want me to do episode by episode King of the Hill reviews or analysis of any given character, or that whatever, let me know in the comments if you want me to do King of the Hill, if you want me to do Twilight Zone, or like I said, Outer Limits, One Step Beyond. That's the kind of stuff I like. And the Twin Peaks, I'm already doing it. I just need to get on the ball and do the next episode. What else? What else are some good shows? I like old stuff. If you're wondering what I like, I want to maybe do the Munsters too. Or yeah, the Munsters. I know. I'm a Munsters person. I like the Addams Family, but if I have to pick between the two, it's gonna be the Munsters. No contest. But you guys, I'm going to talk about King of the Hill. I'm going to talk about specifically because, we had 4th of July the other day. I'm going to talk specifically about 2 cotton-centric episodes here, and I've got the fandom pages for both of them that I'm going to link to in the description if you want to look at them. The first one is Season 4, Episode 2, Cotton's Plot. It was first aired on October 3rd, 1999, you guys. That was a long time ago. It seems like just yesterday, but it was quite a long time ago. Wow. But this is my favorite episode, A King of the Hill. Again, shout out to Shady Do-Rags for reminding me, and his wonderful videos reminding me how much I was just crazy nuts about this show. back in the day, and still I'm thinking about like rewatching the whole thing all over again. Such good stuff. And it was done, King of the Hill was done by Mike Judge. He's the guy who did Beavis and Butthead. Um, and there's another show that's a spin-off from so King of the Hill was a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead. Uh, and another show that's a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead, and another show that Shady Durags reviews that I will not be even thinking about reviewing, because even though I liked it at the time, it's just not my thing with regard to like reviewing and analyzing it, is Daria. Shady Durags does really good Daria videos, the ones that I've seen anyway. So there's that, but yeah. So Beavis and Butthead is like the the reason why we have King of the Hill, and the King of the Hill is arguably more popular than Beavis and Butthead. Of course, I watched Beavis and Butthead back in the day. I was around in the 90s. Everybody loved that show. So many boys in school at the time walked around talking like those two idiots from, from the show. Oh, yeah, takes me back. But so anyway, I'm gonna do Cotton's plot today, or just talk about it a little bit, and then the other episode that I really like is also a Cotton-centric episode, An Officer and a Gentle Boy. This is a later season. It's season 7, episode 15. Air date March 9th, 2003. So, like, what is up with Cotton, you all? Cotton is an interesting character if you've ever watched the show. Let me click on Cotton and open it in a new tab. See what fandom has to say about Cotton. I know a lot of people don't like Cotton. I like him. I don't think he's perfect. No, absolutely not. He is definitely not perfect. But definitely not perfect. He's got problems. But he represents. It's people watch the show King of the Hill, and they have positive or negative opinions of each individual character, which is understandable because, like, a good show will do that to you. A good show will grab you emotionally, and the characters that the writers put together are put together with that in mind. They are meant to either appeal or not appeal to the majority of the audience. And Cotton is one of those characters that he's just like, a jerk. He's not a good person. In many different areas of his life, he's just not a good person. He's a philanderer. I think he cheated on Hank's mother, Tilly, and he treated Hank terribly when Hank was growing up, and because of that, Hank has like confidence issues and possibly some self-esteem issues, and he has issues emotionally. Hank does. He's not very good at showing love or affection to anyone other than his dog, Ladybird. And I'm just remembering how great this show is. But Cotton has his moments, and Shady Durags talks about this too. Cotton has his moments where you're like, wow, I don't hate him. In spite of everything, right? In spite of his bad behavior, in spite of his like very open sexism. I don't know if I would call it misogyny. He does like women, but he believes that women have a place and they should always stay in their place. He's a product of his generation. He has no problem murdering someone. That's how That's how Cotton introduces himself to everyone. Whenever somebody meets Cotton, whenever Cotton introduces himself to somebody, that's his line. That's what he says. He says, "Hi, I'm Cotton Hill, and I killed 50 men." And for those of you who are listening to me who are from other countries, and maybe English is not your first language, I'll say that a little slower That's the way Cotton introduces himself. He says, "Hi, I'm Cotton Hill, and I killed 50 men." Um, in WW2, World War II. He was, and this fandom page goes into detail, obviously, about his military service: Solomon Islands, Guadalcanal, Anzio, Normandy, Saipan, Guam, Philippines, Iwo Jima, Munich, Okinawa, POW camp, miscellaneous awards and decorations. So definitely Cotton is a military man. Um, and he's a very strict person. He's a very no-nonsense kind of person. He doesn't put up with uh, even the slightest semblance of weakness in a person. He has no time for chit chat. He has no time to entertain anybody's whatever. He's a very much, I guess, another military person I knew. He said he called it. Cotton is a very mission oriented kind of person. Now, what happened to Cotton during the Second World War was, um, he, as it says right here, this is a big part of who he is. He had his shins blowed off by a Japanese machine gun in combat, and later had his feet attached to his knees. He claims he faked his age when he was 14 so he could get enlisted in the military when World War II broke out. That made Cotton a foot shorter than his fellow family members and caused a characteristic waddle. According to Hank, Hank is Cotton's son. Cotton was 6 feet 4 inches tall with his shins and 5 feet even without. Despite his disability, Cotton eventually reached the rank of colonel in the Texas State Militia and was often addressed by that rank. Okay. And he has an illegitimate son in Japan, Junichiro. And the mother of Junichiro is Michiko. That was his lover when he was in Japan. Mind you, he was still married to Tilly. Hank's wife. No, Hank's mother. That Hank's wife is what he calls Peggy, because he despises her, and the feeling is mutual. So he refuses to acknowledge Hank's wife, Peggy Hill, by even addressing her by her name, which is real deep. Like, ooh, every time he says that to her, Peggy, that's a real sharp read. I don't know why he doesn't like Peggy, but he doesn't. Now, where was I going with this and why? Anyway, so Cotton is somebody who is kind of like a superhero. Because, like, think about it. Hank even says it in one of the episodes. When Peggy and Hank, I think maybe even this episode, Cotton's plot, when Peggy's like, "Oh, why is he so horrible?" and so on and so forth, and Hank says, "You know what, Peggy? My father is my father, and we all know how he is, but don't forget he got his shins blowed off in World War II, and they attached his feet to his knees, and after going through all of that, somehow he still walks." So that is a testament to Cotton's very, very strong determination as an individual. Okay, he's not perfect. He again treats women horribly, has no problem murdering anybody. He has very strong bloodlust, and he has anger. He has that. He has all of those things, and he treats his son terribly, just terribly. He treats Hank terribly, treated him terribly all throughout his childhood, and now that he's a grown up, a man with a wife and a family. But one of his redeeming qualities is how much he loves Bobby Hill, Hank's son. Now, and again, this guy is different. Now, in Cotton's plot, what happens? This is, I think, where is this thing? Season 4, episode 2. Okay, so this was not the season opener of season 4. It was, I guess, episode 2. And what happened, I guess, in episode 1, or was it a cliffhanger from the previous episode. Peggy went skydiving, and she jumped out of airplane, and her parachute didn't open, and she fell to the earth, and somehow lived, but every single bone in her body was broken, and she had to spend a long time in a full body cast. Okay. And let me just bring up the thing here. And this is how the episode begins with the full body cast. She's getting cut out of her full body cast, as you can see there. And Peggy, like I said, Peggy and Cotton just hate each other. Absolutely despise each other. The hatred is definitely mutual between them. But Peggy, again, Shady Durags talked about Peggy, or he's talked about the character in his videos. A lot of people don't like her. Hank's wife. And I'm one of those people. I really don't like Peggy Hill. I just think she has several character flaws. And I would say that if I had to choose between Cotton and Peggy to deal with, I would pick Cotton any day of the week rather than Peggy. She has got this attitude. Her hubris is freaking off the charts. She thinks she can do anything, including skydiving, and look what happened to her. And again, like the inspiration for this video, Shady Durags, he points out a lot of Peggy's flaws. This woman thinks she can do anything. She thinks she can go skydiving. She thinks she's just invincible. And the thing about King of the Hill, as Shady Durags points out, when a lot of these characters on the show, they go through some serious stuff, but it doesn't really change them as people. Like in a lot of Hank is the person who evolves a lot in the show, but the people in his orbit, his wife, his friends, Bill and Dale and Boomhauer, these people don't change very much. Con, his neighbor, his father, Cotton, and whatever. He's surrounded by, as Hank would say, he's surrounded by idiots. And I don't know, maybe he is, maybe they are idiots. And whether they're idiots or not, they're just difficult people who don't seem to be self-critical in any way, shape, or form, especially his dang wife, Peggy Hill. Now, why King of the Hill is doing this, as far as these characters go, Hank is the only one who develops and evolves as a character, I don't know. Is Hank the only one? Well, Bobby, he's a young kid. He's about 13. He's in junior high school. He's about 13 years old in the show, and he's learning a lot as a youngster. But him and Hank are the only people who seem to have a very good set of morals, or a very good moral compass. And these other characters, like I said, Dale, Bill, Boomhauer, Dale's wife, Nancy, who's always cheating on him with that no-good John Redcorn. And check out Shady Durags' videos about Nancy and John Redcorn. They are very good. He does amazing stuff. Meow. I'm going to have to add him to my channel's thing on my thing here on YouTube. But Hank and Bobby evolve, and now Cotton, he doesn't evolve because he's a product of his generation. Like I said, he's born in, what does it say here? Dang it. I'm gonna start talking like Hank. 1927, December 7th. Oh my God, he's a Sagittarius. Wow. Lordy, 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 lord. So, Cotton is born on December 7th, 1927, and he dies on Veterans Day. Oh, 11/11, November 11th, 2007. Well, ain't that something? that's a little joke. Mike Judge and company, and the writers of the show, did a little joke having Cotton die on. Oh no, it's not Veterans Day. What am I saying? What holiday is November 11th? I'm gonna have to look it up. Dang it. But whatever. Um, where was I going with this and why? Dang it. Never mind. I'll figure it out. But again, Cotton doesn't have to evolve. That's what I was saying. Because he's a product of his time. And with these characters on the show, we were talking about archetypes the other day, or I was, in my little, Codex Kubrickianus video. And Carl Jung and what have you. And each of these characters is kind of not necessarily an archetype, but each character is a set of preconceived notions and ideas about the world that the writers are presenting to us in this show. This show is a critique of society. So maybe that's why a lot of the characters don't change very much, even though they go through like some really like weird stuff. I don't know. But in Cotton's plot, again, Peggy, she goes skydiving, again, her hubris at work, and she falls to the earth, I guess like Icarus, but she survives, and she has to spend several months, I think, in a full body cast. I mean, kind of like a cocoon, and when she gets cut out of that cast, like it doesn't take very long for her arrogance and her hubris to pop back up. Again, a lot of people don't like Peggy Hill. I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I'm one of the fans of the show that I believe that, even though Hank and Peggy love each other and everything, I don't think they're very well matched as a couple. But I don't know. So here she is getting out of her cast, and her body, her muscles and what have you, have atrophied. Oh dear. No, wait a minute. After just not moving for that long. So she needs physical therapy. And she, when she gets cut out of the cast, she thinks she's going to pop right back up and get right back to her old self again. And the doctor's like, oh no. She tries to get up and just walk, and it doesn't work. She falls on the floor. And they get her a physical therapist. I guess this is the opening of the show. And here she is in a wheelchair and a tracksuit, which is interesting, since she can't walk. But she thinks, she's going to get right back up and start living her old life again. No, she needs physical therapy to get strong again. And they take her to this guy, I don't remember the character's name, but he's kind of a stereotypical, like, physical fitness, very upbeat, enthusiastic person. However, the physical therapy isn't working. I mean, it's not meant, I guess physical therapy isn't meant to work overnight in the real world, but in the world of King of the Hill, the show, it's very obvious that it's like one of my favorite YouTubers says, it's moving slower than molasses in January. Okay, and Peggy is just not okay with that. She wants to get back to her old self and do all the things that she liked to do. She's a very athletic person. She's a very active person, and this is bothering her. And Peggy comes home. I think this is the ramp for her wheelchair, and that's the baby here. This is Cotton's new wife, Dee Dee, who's much younger than him. And, they, get together, and Cotton sires a child with her, and he names the child Good Hank, because that the implication is that the first Hank, Hank Hill, his first son with Tilly, is the bad Hank. So, like I said, he's very abusive emotionally towards Hank. Absolutely adores his grandson Bobby. But Hank is just, no. So Peggy is not happy with this arrangement with regard to the physical therapy. It's not moving nearly as fast as she would like it to. And Cotton says, "Oh, I'll help you, Peggy, Hank's wife. I'll help you." Um, but, it's, of course, they hate each other, so he has a reason for helping her, a ulterior motive, if you will. He wants to be buried in a. Hold on, let me see the thing here. I don't want to get it wrong. Where the thing? Ha 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 ha. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? He wants to be buried in the Texas State Cemetery. He wants a proper hero's uh, burial. Hence the name of the title of this episode, Cotton's Plot. Kind of like Family Plot by Hitchcock, but Cotton's Plot, the plot is his cemetery plot, or funeral, cemetery plot. He wants to be buried like a hero in the Texas State Cemetery, and he needs to prove, as it says here, that he was a war hero just to receive an appropriate burial, and he needs Peggy's help to fill out the application and write out all the stuff he did during the Second World War. And what they discover in this, or Peggy discovers in this episode, is that Cotton, or she thinks he's lying about his service because there are discrepancies. I guess it turns out that Cotton is, after all, an old man, and I think he gets some stuff wrong with regard to where he was and what he did. But it all, pans out in the end. But that's his reason for helping her. And his reason for helping her, and, Hank's the first one who's suspicious about him wanting to help Peggy because he said, "Well, my father hates you." And so, you should be suspicious about why he wants to help you, because that isn't necessarily a good thing. Peggy doesn't care because Cotton's methods work. And Cotton, tough love is an understatement. He treats her basically like a slave, even though she can't move. Her muscles are atrophied. She can't walk. She can barely crawl. But, his method of getting her back to her old self is overloading her with work, treating her kind of like, I said this was not going to be a Kubrick video, but damn it, it's an appropriate comparison. Treating her like Sergeant Hartman treats those recruits in Full Metal Jacket, like the first day of training, he says to her, grab some floor. Or no, no, he doesn't say grab some floor, but because that's all she can do. She can crawl. But on the first morning, he expects her to make him breakfast, even though she can't hardly move, and she just has to figure out how to do that. And he yells at her and he says, "Move it, move it, move it." Just like, again, this is the shades of Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket. And he walks by her and he says, one of my favorite lines of the show of all time, he says, "Scrambled, black, sports page, you got 5 minutes." Which means he wants his eggs scrambled, he wants a cup of black coffee, and he wants a sports page to read while he's eating his scrambled eggs. Breakfast. How's she going to do that? She can't move. But I guess the thing is about people like Cotton and Sergeant Hartman, people kind of almost universally revile Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, just like they do Cotton in this show. They think that these people are cruel and mean and being that way unnecessarily. No. Their job is to prepare those recruits for an environment that is very likely to kill them if they allow themselves to get complacent or soft or ignorant or whatever. So that's why Sergeant Hartman screams like that or yells and insults these young men in Full Metal Jacket. And Cotton is taking exactly that kind of methodology from the military and applying it to Peggy's situation, where she's not a paraplegic, but her muscles are atrophied. It's going to take time for them to get strong again so she can move normally. So he has her eat off of the floor. If she can't sit up in a chair, in an ordinary like chair at the table like a person, well, she's just going to have to get down on the floor and eat that waffle now, isn't she? Very cruel, what some would say demeaning, but it works. It works a lot better and a lot faster than the doctor prescribed physical training at the hospital. So, there's something to be said for, there's the, physical training place at the hospital, and these people, again, I know King of the Hill exaggerates things. So I'm pretty sure that physical therapy, real life physical therapy, isn't quite like this. But again, they're doing it to prove a point of some kind, which is interesting. And, this guy, he's like, oh, baby steps, drop by drop, or whatever it is. And Peggy, that's not fast enough for Peggy. And so she makes a decision to, Bill, this is Bill is obsessed with Peggy, and he steals the cast, her full body cast, from the hospital, and he plays Boggle with it. Oh my God, which is Peggy's game, Boggle. Anyway, so here we go. So he's having her crawl on the floor again, insulting her, yelling at her, whatever, and he's trying to get her to climb up into the wheelchair by herself, and it works. And here's her ride to the physical training appointment, and I think Cotton is saying to her, yeah, you can go to the physical training. It's not gonna do anything for you, and it's not gonna work as well as following my orders will. And so I think she's conflicted at this point or something. And then she makes the decision to, submit to Cotton's way of doing things. So again, he's yelling at her. Oh my Lord, can you imagine? Just imagine somebody like Cotton or somebody like Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket yelling in your face like this. I've never been through it. Here he is talking about whatever he was up to in the war. I don't know where this is, but here he is as a young, strong man, 6'4", before he lost his shins. He's talking about when he was a POW, and the story is amazing. You're gonna have to find the episode and watch it yourself. But here's Dale. Oh God, and there's Good Hank with Cotton and Peggy in the wheelchair. Oh my God, there she's dragging herself across the floor, and this is his way of motivating her, right? And I guess why is the baby on the floor? My God. Anyway, so here she is again. It's dinner time. Yeah, and she eats her dinner on the floor. I think that's the point of this scene. It's an amazing episode, right? And the thing about this episode that I adore is, she's raising the flag. Wow. He's letting her do that. That's interesting. Oh, this is the cutest scene ever. Okay, he's berating her and then saying, do it faster, like raise the flag faster. And Peggy gets pissed. She gets pissed as hell. And then she turns around and she fucking bops him on the nose. She punches Cotton on the nose. That's what the blood is from. And he starts laughing. He starts laughing at her after she punches him in the nose and it draws blood. I told you he was different. Okay, if somebody punched me in the nose, I would be like yelling for 911. And I'd be worried about having a broken nose, not him. Oh no. But, Peggy's, again, she has several faults, but she is a very physically strong woman, and her strength is coming back. And Cotton's like, yeah, my methods are working. Me talking to you horribly and getting you pissed off, that inspired you to gather up enough strength to ball your fist up and punch me in the nose. So yeah, he gets results. But anyway, there she is getting ready for her day with Cotton. And what's interesting about this character, she's going over his application in this scene. What's interesting about this, and now she's realizing that he couldn't have been in two places at once, based on his stories, and she thinks he's a liar and whatever. Here she is on the floor again. She's trying to rip up his application, but she doesn't have the strength to do it. Okay, so here he is ready for his big day, his presentation at the whatever administration, so he could get his Texas State Cemetery burial, and they're reviewing his application, and he's waiting for Peggy to show up because she's part of his presentation, and she's angry at him for, she thinks he lied, but whatever. And here they are again. She's back at the physical therapy thing, and Hank's like, okay, look, I know you're mad at him, but his method is working. So anyway, she goes back, and she does vouch for him and speak on his behalf or whatever at this thing that he needs to do in order to get his cemetery plot. And it works, and he gets his cemetery plot. Okay. And here's Hank, Peggy, Dee Dee, good Hank. All right. And they're on their way to go and see what will be his future burial spot. And he envisions his little baby son, good Hank, having birthday parties at the cemetery, on his grave, or around his grave, or whatever. And then they visit this place, and, cute little play on words. His cemetery plot is on a hill. Okay, it's on a hill, and his last name is Hill. I mean, hello. And everybody walks up the hill to go look at it, and Peggy says, "Oh, I can't do it. I don't have the strength." She's not there yet. She can't just get up out of her wheelchair and walk up the hill and go see his cemetery plot. And she says, "I'm fine down here. I can see it from here." And Cotton says, "Not good enough." And he goes down to Peggy, and he says to her in this scene, he says, "If you can claw your way," because she can't roll up there with her wheelchair either, for whatever reason, I don't know, but she can't get up there on foot, and she can't get up there in her wheelchair. And she says, "I can see it fine from here." And Cotton says, "Not the same." He wants her up there. And he says to her, Hank's wife, if you can climb your way up this hill to come see my cemetery plot, if you can do that, I will let you dance on my grave." And because she hates him so, she does it. There she is, grabbing some floor, or in this case, grass, to get up there. And she gets up there, and she even stands up for a second, and then she says to Cotton, after she's gotten her way up there, she says, "May I have this dance?" And they do. They both of them dance on his grave, up on top of this hill in the Texas State Cemetery. And this is the part of the episode that always makes me cry. I don't know why. Y'all help me out in the comments. My people, my regulars, my commenters who stop by regularly, help me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why does this scene in this show, that whenever I watch it, I mean, I've watched it a couple of times, and it's my favorite episode of all of King of the Hill, the whole show, all the episodes, each and every single last time I watch this scene, it brings tears to my eyes. Y'all let me know what's wrong with me in the comments. Tell me what the hell is wrong with Miss M, because I don't know. I for sure don't know what's wrong with me and why them two dancing on Cotton's future grave, it makes me cry. It brings tears. Sometimes just like maybe even thinking about it just makes me cry. Like, Cotton is a really decent man, in spite of all of his flaws. He's actually a decent man. He knows he's holding up his end of the bargain. He's helping her. And he doesn't care that she got pissed at him and called him a liar and whatever. He's holding up his end of the deal, and he knows how much that would motivate her to gather the strength to get up that hill and get better physically and get her muscles stronger and whatever. He says, if you can make it up this hill, I will let you dance on my grave. That's one hell of a thing to say to somebody. And this is the episode that kind of sparked my admiration for Cotton. And maybe, I don't know, commenters, if you're going to try and like psychoanalyze me, I have people in my family who are a lot like Cotton. So maybe that's why, like it touches me emotionally. I have male members, I won't say who, of my family that very, very strongly remind me, or no, other way around. Cotton really, really strongly reminds me of them. And I know they're good people, but they're rough. They're very rough people, and very much like Cotton, no nonsense. They don't give a shit about your emotions. They don't give a shit about like what you're going through. You got to keep going. Don't stop crying. Don't let yourself get to that state emotionally. That means the bastard's won. If you start crying, get up, pick yourself up, fucking keep going, and and do what you need to do. Move on with your life. So maybe that's why, y'all. Maybe that's why. Now I'm gonna take a little coffee break of my own. I'm gonna be right back, y'all, and then we're gonna get into this other episode that is Cotton centric that I absolutely love. It's number 2. This one is my second favorite, King of the Hill episode, An Officer and a Gentle Boy. So I'll be right back after my little coffee break. Don't go nowhere. All right, I'm back. Did you miss me? Anyway, I'm back, and I'm going to get into the second episode, An Officer and a Gentle Boy. And what I did was, what really interested me was when I looked at Cotton Hill and it says his birthday, December 7th, which would make him a Sagittarius. And I thought, wait a minute, did the writers of this show go so far as to pick the birth dates of these people so they could line up with astrological signs that would say something more or give you like a little more insight into their character or their personality or whatever? And so I looked up Hank. Hank is an Aries, April 15th. My God. That's kind of interesting. Bobby is, oh Lord, Gershom. I hope you're watching. Bobby's born on August 13th. That would make him a Leo, which is interesting. I mean, it does fit with his character. He's very brave. And he's, Leo the lion, they're brave, and they're also like really kind of upbeat people, most of the ones that I've met. And it's interesting that Bobby is a Leo. And Alfred Hitchcock has the same birthday. And maybe Stanley Kubrick too. I need to check though. I know Stanley Kubrick was Leo, and so is Alfred Hitchcock. Peggy, the one that I hate, February 7th, Aquarius. I don't know about that. I mean, I like Aquariuses. I really do. I like Aquarius people, but just not this one. Peggy Hill. Anyway, let's move on to the next episode. Again, this is a Cotton-centric thing that I'm doing here. An Officer and a Gentle Boy. First aired March 9th, 2003. And what happens in this episode is basically Bobby... Bobby is for whatever reason, he's slacking off, right? And they think he's just not disciplined, and Bobby does have a discipline issue. He's not a bad kid, but he kind of does his own thing. He's a different kind of person. And he's got a lot of confidence, even though he's very different, especially in a place like Orlin. But, um, but anyway, he he's just a different kind of character. But apparently he's not doing so great. He doesn't like raking up leaves, or he thinks everything's a joke. When they give him chores to do, he thinks it's a joke. So they send him to military school, Fort Burke, as you can see here. Uh, Cotton's old military academy. Um, Peggy is reluctant about this, but Cotton, uh, and this is Cotton's suggestion, and Hank sends him off to military school, and Cotton thinks that this will really make a man out of Bobby. I think he happens to be 13 years old in this episode, um, so that's interesting. That choice of sending him to military school to really turn him into a man. That's interesting, and it's Cotton's old military school, and they warn him about the hazing. The hazing isn't so bad. The food in the cafeteria, but apparently the food isn't so bad. It says here, in contrast to Cotton's days at the academy. Um, and Cotton just shows up. He's not really supposed to be there, but he shows up, I guess, to show off, because he wants to. I don't know why he does it. Is it for his own ego, or for, because he's trying to like help Bobby? But he shows up, not just like shows up, but he shows up like on this gorgeous horse, this steed of a horse in his old uniform, and he rides in like you wouldn't believe. It's really quite a scene. And that's why I said his birthday is interesting, because uh, Sagittarius is the archer, and he's a very good shot, but also Sagittarius is half man, half horse. Okay, and then Cotton showing up on this horse. This is really interesting. So he has a terrific command of this horse. Um, at supper, I guess before Cotton shows up, uh, Cotton speculates that Bobby is sleeping in animal droppings, and hysterical Peggy drags Hank to the academy to check on Bobby's well-being. As it turns out, he's doing very well. And they have art classes, and Hank comes in, and Hank and Peggy notify Cotton of how things have changed at the academy, and he's angry. He wants it to be living hell, because that's what it was for him, and that's what made him into, the one of the things that made him into the person that we see in the show, Cotton. He attributes a lot of that to his time at Fort Burke, the military academy. So let's just get into it, right? Let's just, is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah. So here we are. They get into it. There's Bobby, his messy room, raking up the leaves. He doesn't take it seriously. And whatever. So I already kind of explained this to you. And here's the uniform. They put him in the uniform. They send him off to military academy, Fort Burke Academy. There it is. And look at what they've done here. Okay. Again, this building is built in kind of a Greek style. Look at these columns and the whole thing. Ooh, Lord. But also look at the posts here that the sign is resting on. The gate of it. It's cracking. They're trying to say something in this episode that's really interesting, and I'm going to get to it, trust me. I will get to it. There he is. They're leaving him at the academy. There's the dude, I guess the headmaster or whatever of this place. And here he is. He's terrified, but actually it's not a bad experience. They have okay food. Again, now there's this weird like ivy growing on at the gate of the academy. They come in, they let the parents in, they let them walk around, and whatever. There they are in the arts and crafts classroom. Peggy and Hank are having a great time. Cotton's like, no freaking way. And there's this thing that you just saw. This is the hole. Okay, this is the most severe form of punishment at this military academy for students who just refuse to get with the program. Look at this thing. It's a teensy-weensy little room with sloped sides and this iron door on it with just this little slat for light. And there's nothing in there. There's nowhere to sit down or lie down other than the concrete floor. And it's just, other than this little window, complete darkness, complete isolation. And that's where they would put problem students at this academy and leave them in there for however long until they lost their minds and started screaming and begging to be let out. As a matter of fact, in this episode, we learn that this is what happened to Cotton when he was a student at this academy. Really, really interesting. So he was a problem student when he was here, and they had to put him in this awful little building that looks very uninviting. So they put the students in solitary confinement if they're really insubordinate. Okay. So Cotton is not happy that this place is a kinder, gentler place than the one that he attended as a youngster. Okay. And he basically decides to take control of the school. Here he is on his horse, and he's gonna dole out some tough love, as they say, to Bobby. Right? He just moves right on in and takes over and starts ordering people around. And he says to Bobby, "I'm not your Bing Bing." I think that's what Bobby calls him, Bing Bing. And he's like, "No, I'm not your grandfather here. I'm basically your boss. So we're not going to have any fun." And Bobby and Cotton have a really amazing relationship. A really dear, sweet, wonderful grandfather and grandson relationship. And Cotton says, that none of that is going to happen here in this place. I'm here to, turn you into a man. And here he is. This is his first punishment to, again, toughen him up, have him rake leaves with a fork. And that doesn't work because Bobby just turns it into a game. He stuffs his shirt full of these leaves and he pretends to eat them. And here's Cotton on his horse. And that doesn't work. That doesn't traumatize Bobby. So then he has him eat all these leftovers from the cafeteria as a punishment until he bursts. And, apparently Bobby does great. He likes to eat. Doesn't really matter. Like, he's not horrified or disgusted by the leftovers or whatever. He just shovels it all in. And Cotton is the one becoming frustrated. The raking the leaves with the fork doesn't work. Eating the slop from the cafeteria doesn't work. And then finally Cotton, and he has him do this. He has him like strip down to his underpants and sit on a block of ice for a long time. Apparently and Cotton says if you freeze anything long enough it'll crack. And this ice doesn't crack Bobby because he just, I guess, turns it into an easy chair. And he says, "Well, my mother always said I was built for cold climates," because he's, kind of pudgy. Well, none of that works, so Cotton finally puts Bobby in the hole, and there he is, in this horrible concrete little jail cell, I guess, with the little slat in the door for light or whatever. And he stays there for a long time. Peggy and Hank have no idea what's going on. They have no idea that Cotton has gone over to the academy and he took control of the academy, usurped the headmaster of the place and the whole thing. Here they are just enjoying a night out at the movies, and they find out that Cotton went over there took control of the place and put Bobby in the hole. And they're horrified by it, and Hank, wants to go over there and save Bobby. And here's his classmates like inquiring, he's been in there for a while. And look at this thing. It also has cracks. Look at this. So that's the overall message of this show. I'll get to it in a minute. And it has cracks, and the boys come over and see, and they say, "Hey, Bobby, are you okay?" And there's no answer because he's been in there for like a day or so, maybe like more than 2 days, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's dead." He's dead. He lost his mind in there, and he's something, the conditions did him in. So they leave, and then Hank goes over to his father's place, and Dee Dee says what happened. That Cotton went over there, took over, and here he is at the hole. I guess they're about to let him out. Look at these cracks in this thing. Again, this is the same hole hole. This is the same little building that Cotton was imprisoned in as a punishment when he was a youngster, I guess in the 1930s, for his insubordination, and it made him go crazy. Anyway, so they're here, and Hank shows up and says to his father, "Are you crazy?" Putting him in there, and they open the thing, and they find Bobby. It looks like he's sleeping. I don't know whether or not he is sleeping, but it looks like he's sleeping when they open the door, and he comes in, and he just rolls over, opens his eyes, rubs his eyes, and he yawns, and he says, "No, I'm fine, I'm okay." And he comes out of the hole, the little building, yawns, and he gets right back to being his usual cheerful, jovial, upbeat self. And Cotton and Hank cannot figure out, Cotton cannot figure out why it didn't work. All of these gruesome, torturous punishments that he went through as a student or as a cadet here at this military academy didn't work on Cotton. I mean, no, they did work on Cotton. They toughened him up, and they were painful to Cotton. So painful that he still remembers how awful it was at his age. And after going through World War II, he still remembers this academy as basically the place that broke him when he was a youngster and in his early teens. And he's like, "I don't know why I didn't do that to Bobby, because the same I did." He says, "I did the same things to Bobby that they did to me when I was here." This is Cotton saying that. "Why didn't it work? It made me crazy. It broke me. Why didn't it break Bobby?" And Hank's like, "Well, Bobby's basically mush, and mush always has the upper hand because you can't really do anything to it. You can't build it up, but you can't break it down either. And even if you stomp on it, it's still just gonna remain mush." And to make Cotton feel better, Hank lets him order him around and have him do push-ups and whatever. And there he is, Cotton wants to feel better. So there's that. And there's his friends at the school, at the military academy, asking Bobby, like, "How did you do it? How did you spend 3 days in that basically solitary confinement concrete little room and not go crazy? And, was it really bad?" And Bobby said, "Yeah, it wasn't that bad. But the thing that got him through the experience, he saw some inspirational graffiti on the wall, on the inside of the hole." And then we go back to the hole. Ah, shit, hold on. There it is. This is the inspirational graffiti that Bobby saw that gave him the strength, the resolve to keep going. And it says, this is his grandfather from way back when. It says Cotton Hill, 2 days. So Cotton spent 2 days in the hole, right? And Bobby spent 3 days in the hole. So I guess he broke his grandfather's record. Cotton's supposed to be the tough one, but Bobby survived solitary confinement longer than his very rough, tough war hero grandfather did. And his grandfather told him that, this room, this little prison cell, made him go crazy. Bobby is fine after spending one more day than Cotton did in this thing. Now, let me get back to a picture of it. There it is behind Hank, but, let me go back to before they open it up so you can just get another look at it. There it is. Again, I'm an art history person. When I saw this structure that they call the hole, the immediate thing that I thought of was an ancient Egyptian mastaba tomb. Okay? So in ancient Egypt, the tombs that they say that the pyramids are modeled after look more or less exactly like this. And this is a sloped-sided structure. There's no, pyramid top on top of it, but it's implied. And it looks more or less exactly like a mastaba tomb that also has sloped sides. And it's a tomb. It's it's a small structure with its intended use is to bury dead people. And it's got cracks in it. I showed you the cracks. This episode of King of the Hill is, I think, arguably like more thought-provoking than my favorite one, Cotton's Plot, where, Peggy is recovering from her atrophied muscles from her skydiving accident, the whole thing. I love that episode. But this one has got me thinking because they're doing something serious here. Mike Judge and his writers for this show, they are doing something real, real serious with this episode. They are showing us the effects of the modern world. And that generation, Cotton's generation, that went off to fight in the Second World War, yeah, they were rough. Yeah, they were tough. Yeah, they were brave. However, there is something about modern life. Yeah. At least, when was this thing aired? First aired, hold on. Yeah, An Officer and a Gentle Boy. March 9th, 2003. So, about 20 years ago. Wow. But at the time, modern life, and even more so now, there's something about modern life that is so soul-sucking and just soul-destroying that it's easier for somebody that's a product of this world and this modern world, like Bobby was born in 1985, it's easier for somebody from this generation. What was the generation? Is it Generation X, Y, millennial generation? It's easier for them to survive solitary confinement than their parents' generation, and definitely their grandparents' generation. There's something that made, maybe Bobby is not tougher physically than his grandfather was as a young man. Because, he's kind of pudgy, he's not very athletic. No, that's Bobby. And that's why Hank is so mad at him, because, he has no interest in sports, football, athletics in general. But, so he's not very physically strong or agile, but mentally, he's much stronger than both his grandfather and father combined, if he can spend 3 days in solitary confinement and not lose his mind. Because in solitary confinement, I guess the thing is, even though they're going to let you, like when they put you in there, like in this situation, and they're going to let you out eventually, you still kind of lose hope and start worrying whether or not they really are going to let you out or whatever, whether you're going to die there. And Bobby got through that way better than his grandfather did, the rough and tough World War II veteran that, went through everything he went through. Bobby has surpassed his grandfather mentally, with regard to his mental fortitude. And how did that happen? Why is that possible? Why does the modern world make it possible for, and being brought up in the modern world, make it possible for Bobby to do that? And what about Cotton's upbringing made it impossible or much more difficult for him to do that? He cracked. This broke him. The hole broke Cotton. It didn't break Bobby. He got scared, but he didn't lose his mind. It's implied that Cotton did after 2 days. There are so many things to think about there. There are so many different directions that you can take that. I'm just questioning, like, what is Mike Judge trying to say? What are the writers of King of the Hill trying to say here? Are they trying to say the same thing as Stanley was saying with his movies, especially Full Metal Jacket? I don't know. I surely don't know. But it's something to consider. It's something to ponder, right? Is this generation of people less afraid of death, less afraid of isolation, loneliness, sadness, their own emotions, working through their own trauma? Because that's the theme with Cotton and then his son, Hank. They are both unable, in many ways, to emotionally work through their own trauma. Cotton, from whatever happened during his upbringing to make him like the mean bastard that he is, and Hank, from his upbringing with a father like Cotton. Neither of them talks about emotions. Neither of them can express love or more tender feelings. Cotton is absolutely horrible. Hank is a little bit better, but he still has trouble being emotional and loving towards his family, and he reserves all of that emotion and love for the dog, like I said, Ladybird. And Bobby's the exact opposite. And Bobby was raised by the man who was raised by this guy. Cotton up in here, right? Like, what is going on with this? What is being said here? And it doesn't kind of matter what's being said. It's whether, I mean, I guess it also goes to like whether or not you're on board, whether or not you agree with it. I agree with it. I agree with the message of this episode, An Officer and a Gentle Boy. So King of the Hill was really doing something that maybe can only be understood now, later, thinking about it and like turning it over in your head and whatever. So I guess that's that. I guess I've done what I could do with this. I went through the Cotton's Plot episode, and I went through the Officer and a Gentle Boy episode, talking about Cotton, and Cotton as somebody who's like a living relic of the past, and the past that we need to put behind us, because there was a lot of destruction, there was a lot of death, there was a lot of misery, hurt, sadness, etc. We need to figure out a way to heal from that, and maybe hopefully not repeat the mistakes of history. I don't know what y'all think. Let me know in the comments what you think. I can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments. And again, if you want me to do episodes of King of the Hill, or just themes in King of the Hill, or just pick an episode that I like, let me know. If you want me to do the Munsters, let me know. Twilight Zone. Shit, I Love Lucy. I don't care. Or whatever other show. Like, I want it to be something older, like a classic show. Whether it's animated or whatever, it doesn't matter. Talk to me. Let me know in the comments how you feel, what you think, and what have you. So I think that's it for today. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Thank you. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Let me reiterate my church announcements. Uh, Returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Don't forget, I got a tip jar. Go ahead and use it if you want to. And that's that. Can't wait to read your comments. Can't wait to see your ideas and what have you. Let me know how you like King of the Hill. Let me know if there's anything else that you would like me to explore on this channel as far as subject matter or media or whatever. Let me know. So that's that, and that's it, and that's all. And so until next time, until I find yet another reason to talk at you in one of these videos, I'm going to go ahead and bid you bye bye. So, bye bye, everybody.